María Canals Barrera. You're welcome. Thanks for coming here.
Thanks for having me. Thank you so much.
Make sure my phone's on silent so it doesn't buzz obnoxiously. There we go. So you've been to St. Louis before?
I've never been to St. Louis.
Really? Oh, well, welcome. So obviously you probably haven't been to St. Charles before.
No.
And I took you in here, I picked you up, it was midnight, I'm like, if it was daylight, you could see the boathouse, the Lewis and Clark boathouse. She couldn't see any of those things. Hopefully we'll get you out and get you some, to tour around a little bit later on.
I love that. Love it.
So I was curious, we've talked several times, interviewed you for my radio show, you've been on the podcast with Susan and I. I don't know if I've ever asked you about your first TV job doing 21 Jump Street.
I did an episode of 21 Jump Street when I was 21, coincidentally, when I had just graduated from the University of Miami Theater School. They were shooting a few episodes in Florida, and my agent sent me out on it, and I got it.
Wow. And was that just like, from there you knew it's upward from here, upward with wings in the case of Hawkeye?
Well, it was an amazing opportunity because back then, and still really, shows would come mostly cast, and if they shoot in places that weren't New York or LA usually, and so to get a nice juicy guest star on a network show out of Hollywood was super exciting, and yeah, it was a taste of what I trained to do, what I knew I should be doing, and it only encouraged me to know that I had to, I was working in Florida, but again, it was whatever shoots in Florida back then. It wasn't what I want to do, or But what's really interesting is, I don't know if you guys remember, but the original 21 Jump Street was with Johnny Depp and Peter DeLuise, and I had a great fun part. And in the show, they did an episode that was about Florida beach life, and then they did an episode about the war in Nicaragua, and I had to play a girl from Nicaragua, like a soldier girl, and I get shot. But I befriend Johnny Depp and Peter DeLuise, and and I'm teaching them English, a la Laurel and Hardy. I teach them he's like, here's another fine mess you got me into. Like Peter DeLuise is teaching, here's another fine mess you got me into. So I'm like, here's another fine mess you got me onto. I'm trying to learn it, and then I have a few wonderful scenes with them, and then we're practicing my English, and I get shot by the rebel soldiers. And so I had to do this high-tech, squibs or these things they put on an actor that, fake blood explodes, so it looks like you got hurt. I hope I'm not scaring the kids. It's all pretend, but it was kind of cool to already, my first big show like that as a guest star, getting to do a whole, and I squeeze my own squid and it explodes and Johnny Depp is over me, and I'm like, it was really exciting. So anyway, fast forward 20 years later, and on Wizards of Waverly Place, my husband is David DeLuise, and he's Peter DeLuise's little brother. Now, obviously, his father was the incredibly talented Dom DeLuise, who's no longer with us, but an amazing comedic actor. And I said, when David played my husband, I said, David, I did an episode with your brother, who is a director now in Canada. And I said, did you ever see that episode? And he said, Maria, of course I saw that episode, and I had a crush on you. And I said, oh my gosh, and 20 years later, feels like 20 years, maybe not that much, I'm playing your wife. It's just an amazing, fun, crazy business that this is,
He manifested it all those years later.
And if you stay in this business long enough, you will work with so many people. And my husband and I talk about that we have, we ride the waves, the up and down of project to project. And this goes, this gets picked up, this becomes a hit, this doesn't become a hit. And you have to love it. You have to love the art of it. You have to love the doing, the performing, the voicing. It has to be joyous to you because it's such a crazy business. But you know what? You guys make it worth it. Meeting you guys at the cons and seeing your faces and how you share the shows that we did 20 years ago with your kids, it's like, wow, I'm so glad I got to be part of something so special, so beautifully animated or well written and or wonderfully directed that people still love. It's really a wonderful privilege.
The last time we talked, speaking of fantastic people you've worked with, Seven Cemeteries with Danny Trejo. If you guys haven't seen has anyone seen Seven Cemeteries yet? If you get a chance, it's a little bit of From Dusk Till Dawn thrown in some Shaun of the Dead with Magnificent Seven and Danny Trejo, by the way. So if you get a chance, it's on Amazon Prime. I highly recommend it. I loved it. It was so much fun working with Danny Trejo. I know you and I talked, but they haven't heard the stories of getting to work with Danny Trejo.
Yeah, it's exactly as you described it. The movie, it came out like a year ago, right? Just about a year. And I get to play this old, like, she's kind of a witch, but she's like medicinal. She does like potions and cures people. And I help bring him back from the non-alive people. And anyway, it was a lot of fun. You know, he's so iconic and he's so sweet. He's like such a sweet guy for such a scary look, you know. If you're gonna go on the superficial with tattoos, the muscles, he's a super sweet man and has quite a history. Has been through a lot in his life, and it was a great experience. It was a lot of fun. We shot that in Oklahoma.
It looked like you had a lot of fun because you had to play against type. You were kind of a cantankerous, ugly person. You got to play way against type.
Yes, I'm such a glamorous person.
Isn't she? I mean, come on.
I mean, I'm like my mom. My mom would get all dolled up just to go to the grocery store. You know, she's very feminine, and so it was really cool to get to play somebody that is so like scary looking and ugly, and you know, it's like the opposite of everything that you know. For a lot of women, it's like, whoa, if you see a dark circle, you gotta fix it. No, they would make it darker. And I remember the director said, "Can we give us some more liver spots?" And I was like, "Oh, okay, go ahead, do it." And my husband's like, "Don't worry about it. Think of it as a theater piece." And it's true. I love theater. It's been a while, but I used to do a lot of theater. And you know, it's like you get to do all kinds of crazy makeup and wild characters in theater. And so that's how I took it, and it was a lot of fun.
If any of you have any questions, please, there's a microphone right here, center. Come right up to the microphone, ask your question. Feel free, any question at all, especially if you're dressed as a character that Maria has played, you can feel free to ask a question. No pressure, obviously, there's no pressure with that at all. But I think it's so cool that all these roles you play, how much of a, like, what's your style of acting? Do you really like to get into the head of these people? Do you do a little bit of method? What kind of, when you're inhabiting the characters?
Yeah, I do both, actually. I do get very cerebral about it, and I use myself. I think about, if I were this person in this situation, what would I feel? You know, so the best acting is authentic emotion. And so I use a lot of myself. I research if it's a certain time period or the kind of person or the kind of job that they had. I do get a little methody sometimes, but I don't stay method the whole time because I happen to live a life and raise children. But I do enjoy really inhabiting the character. It's a lot of fun. I love improvising as the character. Like on my way to do the scene, I will get dressed and talk to myself and improvise as the person. And that just warms you up. It's like preheating the pan before you put the egg in, you know? It's ready. So if I'm improvising as the character while I'm doing a bunch of other things and then the scene starts, I'm already warm. And that I like to do that. It's a lot of fun. And sometimes when you're improvising as the character, stuff comes out that surprise you. That makes it even better and more, it makes it richer because it's in your subconscious. So when you improvise, it comes out into the conscious and you can use it. And it's a wonderful thing. I really love improvising.
So with that said, I know some directors are very, please stick to the lines written on the page as you're doing the show. Other directors have been like, you know what, that's better, we're keeping it. With having that love of improv, do you kind of like having that little bit of a looser hand on the wheels, or do you like the directors who are very, no, this is what we're doing?
You know, I'm kind of a rule follower, so I always respect the text. As much as I enjoy improvising, I wouldn't dare unless I was told, we want you to improvise. Like when I did Curb Your Enthusiasm, that was all about improvising. So I improvised it. When I have an audition where the director wants you to improvise something, I love doing it. Some actors don't like it. I love it. But I'm also very much, the writer to me is the person that should get the most respect, because there's nothing without the writer. Everybody else works off the written page. The writer has to make it happen, create something out of nothing. So I've always really respected the writer. And on television sitcoms, they really want you to respect the writing, because the joke and the musicality of the humor is very important. So I tend to do that already. Like on Wizards, I remember they had trouble finding bloopers of me. Do you remember how it opens with bloopers and us being funny? They had to, it was hard because I'm so like uptight about doing it right that I wouldn't mess up that much. But really, you should allow yourself to relax enough to go ahead and mess up. It's not like you can't do another take. It's not like you're on stage. So there's an in-between there that I think I'm getting closer to after all these years, where I can relax a little bit more and allow myself to mess up. I remember I did a series with Edward James Olmos. It was called American Family. I also did a movie called My Family, Mi Familia with Edward James Olmos. And I remember when I did the series, American Family was for PBS, and he was like the patriarch of the family, and he's my uncle. And I had a one-on-one scene with him, and I'm like stressing about getting every word right, making it fit into the mood, and remembering all the words. And he is like getting all the words wrong, but still communicating the truth of the scene, but doing whatever words he wants to say. Not completely different, but I would say 40% his own stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is he doing? He's not even, and I was like uptight, saying the words verbatim, and he's like talking about this, he barely he's just really just talking about this and all my whole life, and he's like, oh. And I'm like, yes, but uncle, whatever, and I have to do this and this, uncle. He's like, yeah, well, you know, blah, 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 mumbling. And then I see the scene, and he's amazing. He's so believable, so real, so natural, and I'm like a little stiff. And I thought to myself, wow, you really have to take it, own it, and do your because that's more important than getting every word right. And if you get the word wrong, the script supervisor will say, hey, can you do this the way it's written? They'll tell you. So he actually taught me to relax a little bit, just in watching him. Of course, you know, he's been around a lot longer, and he's another Latino icon. So that was kind of cool for me to see. Yeah.
I'm curious because you did mention that, you know, going back and you see, oh, I'm uptight, I don't have bloopers or anything like that.
Yeah.
Are you an actor who likes to go back and kind of see what you do and like,
No.
I should have that different, or
No.
once it's done, are you done?
No, I don't go back. I don't. I really don't. Even when I think, okay, I did it, I'm satisfied, it's really good, I like my work. I don't go back. And when I feel like I didn't do, like, oh, why didn't I do this, why didn't I do that, I don't keep revisiting it. I just move on to the next thing, look ahead. And you know what's so funny is a couple times when my kids were growing up, they were watching Wizards, and I'm like, oh, I should watch Wizards more often. It would cheer me up, and it's fun, and it makes, you know, I don't even watch like things that are iconic and that much. I don't know, we're just, as actors, usually we're looking for the next gig, the next project, so we're really looking forward, and if you have a very full personal life, where you're also raising a family, for me, it's all about like them, getting it right for them, and then I get to be an actress too. How fun, how blessed I am. But it's really been about trying to raise our children, you know, the way that we're supposed to, you know. So no, I don't look back a lot. Whether it's good or bad in my interpretation, I don't revisit it. I should when it's good, right?
Right.
You know, it's funny because like last year, we were like, well, let's watch a Wizards episode. And it was so much fun. We watched the Halloween episode. And it was so fun to watch it. I'm like, oh my gosh, we should have watched it more often.
Yeah, I mean, there's some of those episodes we've talked about. Mike, it's just you and me. Sorry. Mike. No, they are great fun. We will need your name, where you're from, date of birth, and blood type, and then you can answer. That's it. What is your name?
Ethan.
Yeah,
Ethan.
Okay.
remember, he came to my table.
I'm so honored that you remember me. I just had a question, kind of going off what you were just talking about earlier with your scene partner. I was just wondering, you've played so many characters, both live action and animation. I was just wondering which you found more difficult to perform, because with physical, you know, you have someone to play off of right in front of you, but at the same time, you have someone staring at you. But animation, you don't have anyone watching you, but you don't have anyone to play off of. So, long story short, which do you find more challenging to perform, live action or voice?
Well, first of all, that's a great question. I enjoy it all for different reasons.
Yeah.
But if I had to, because it's kind of it behooves me to be inspired and challenged rather than say, this is so hard. So I've grown to enjoy it. But if I had to really like get outside of it and say which one's harder, it would probably be animation, in that you have to create everything in your mind and rather than feed off another actor. But I kind of like that. It's kind of fun to me to use my imagination and reach out and attribute to words on a page emotion that is not there from another human being, but solely on the writing, and respond to it. And it's kind of cool that you can listen to something and you can feel it. You can feel by the tone, the crackle, the pitch, the stutter, the volume. You can feel emotion based on all those technical things in voice. So I would say voice acting would be more difficult.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Ethan.
Thank you. Anyone else have a question? I'll pop up to the mic. Yes, here we go. So you got the ball rolling, Ethan. Thank you.
I say it's a good tie-in questions. I'm Clint.
Hi, Clint.
My question is in regarding to just when you are acting live action versus voice animation, obviously emotions can play a toll more so probably in live action because you're right across from someone.
Yeah.
Is there been an experience maybe with Justice League or another animation that you've done where you've just really gotten emotional during a scene or something that you've really found yourself actually engaging so deeply that it's been really touching for you?
Yeah, that's happened several times, and that's a good thing because you want to be really in touch with the deepest, most sincere parts of yourself. Yeah, sometimes you have to conjure it and really like place yourself, if I had this loss, if I love this person, what does it remind me of in my own personal life? And you find it. Sometimes you're not even aware how much on the surface it is. I did a pilot where I play this housewife and she's working as a waitress and she gets a promotion. And I was already so steeped in her not feeling like enough that when I did the scene where he gives me the promotion, because I was so steeped in not feeling like enough as the character, that when he gave me the promotion, I just was holding back the tears because he was telling me, you're enough, you're good enough. And that's the best. That's the best when you don't have to like find it when it's right there. It's happened several times. And it's happened with, not just pain, but joy. It's happened, I remember on Wizards, it happened a lot with joy. And terror is always on the surface for me. So terror is easy for me to find. But yeah, it happens a lot, and it's part of an actor keeping their instrument open. And it's funny because it's good for what we do as our work, but it's not good in real life. You can't cry when the cashier opens up about her recent divorce, at the supermarket. You can't cry, But because we're so open, like emotionally as actors, we have to tap in. My husband and I have talked about this. We're like, that's part of our job is to stay open. But most people, that's not what they're encouraged to do with a regular job that doesn't involve that. In fact, you're supposed to be able to control it. So, as you mature and you grow in real life, you have to remember that even though you're an actor, you have to control it, but keep yourself open enough where you can tap into it. So it's quite the dance, but it's a fun dance.
And then bonus question, did you ever get tired of like the howling for the hot girl maze? Like, did it ever get old? Like, did it ever get old? Because like binge watching through, it's one thing to like watch one week at a time, but binging through it. I'm like, man, she did this a lot. Like, so did that ever get tired?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just curious.
Because it is a great release.
Okay.
It's a lot of fun. If you do it technically right, you don't hurt your throat. And you know, with the 4 years that I recorded Wizards, I had both my pregnancies. So I remember our director, Andrea, would say, practice, use it. Use it, you're gonna be screaming a lot when you give birth. So I was like up to here pregnant, I'd be like, ha! Oh! Yeah! It was so much fun. It's fun, to me it's fun.
Thank you, Clint. Anybody else have a question at all?
Yes, my name is John. I have two questions, one from me and one from my daughter Beatrice.
Hi, Beatrice.
Similar to the last question, Beatrice would love to know what your children's names are.
Oh, my older daughter's name is Bridget, and she goes by Bridge, because she's a singer-songwriter actress. So she goes by Bridge Barrera, you can look her up on Instagram. And my younger daughter is Madeline. And I always liked that name because I always thought it was a very feminine name, Madeline. And you can say it in English, Madeline. You can say it in French, Madeleine. You can say it in Italian, Maddalena. And you can say it in Spanish, Madeline. So I just love it. And Bridget, it's so funny, you know, I remember names like, oh, Bridget was the name that girl who was a singer in that band that I used to go see when I was when after I graduated college, and it's like, I just like that name, Bridget. You know, I'm not from England, so I know it's a common name in England and Ireland, but I hadn't heard of it that much. And so it stayed in the back of my mind. And then I remember there was a beautiful little girl named Madeline, Naomi's little sister, who I grew up with, who had really long hair. And that stays like in your mind, right? Like, I bet you named Beatrice based on some Beatrice, right? Who was it?
I met my wife doing a production of Much Ado About Nothing, and Beatrice is the main character. So.
Exactly. And it's just, it inspires you, you love it, and it doesn't necessarily have to be just a family name, it can be something. Yeah, so Beatrice, those are their names, Bridge and Madeline.
And then my question, similarly, is what's your favorite part and potentially biggest challenge of navigating parenthood while also being a full-time actor?
Oh, well, my favorite part for different reasons, right? I got to do a classic play called Hedda Gabler by Ibsen, and I got to play Hedda. She's this like proud, complex woman with a lot of hubris, and it's really well written, and I got to do it. That's a theater piece, and I love doing that challenging role. I also got to do a commedia dell'arte play in college called The Imaginary Invalid by Molière, and I got to play Toinette, and she got to be all these different characters, which I'm really good at being like different characters, so I got to show that off. That was fun. So those were great experiences, and then, you know, you get to Hollywood and they still put you in boxes that you have to fight. So I haven't been able to do as much as I know I'm so capable of doing, but I've gotten to do a lot because it's a tough business. So I think that I had the most fun playing a mom when I was a new mom as Teresa. It had the most longevity, and I got to practice my motherliness. And that was a lot of fun. So for those reasons, it was fun. Now, what did you say about it being challenging being a full-time actress and a mom? Yes, I have an amazing husband that God blessed me with named David Barrera, who's also an actor. He's done a bunch of stuff. And he and I have been on the same page as to how we want to be actors and how we want to have a family. And so it's about being committed to what matters most. To me and to him, this real life matters more. So if I'm going to sacrifice, it's for this real life, and it's for their lives. And like, I'm not going to leave them for 6 months when they're little because I get to go. No, they're coming with me, or it's not happening. If they can't come with me, we got to work something out. So it's not easy, but it's very doable. And if you have some money, you can hire somebody to help you. And we did that a few times because we didn't have family. They came with us a lot. And you do the best that you can, and you do what they need. And sometimes you don't even know what they need, but you ask them, you know, and they'll tell you. And you know what? 99.9% of the time, they need you. They need us. So yeah, we had a great babysitter, but it wasn't the same as having me. So I was very fortunate to have bankers hours and wizards, you know, because it's like 9 to 5. So while they're at school, I got to pick them up at school many times because we get out early. It was only on shoot days where we'd be there at night, like later, and that would be like on a Friday night. So, you know, we talk about this, my husband and I, now that they're 19 and 21, we talk about, well, we were very blessed that we got to be with them a lot. Because nothing compares to your parent being with you.
Speaking of someone whose parents aren't right there, I'm going to come to you. The mic's a little tall. Come right up here. What's your question?
I was wondering what your favorite comic was.
Oh,
Favorite
well,
comic?
you know, what can I say? Okay, when I was like, I don't remember how old I was, middle school, high school, I used to love Mad Magazine. That was the only one I really looked at, because I wasn't like a comic book, I didn't know like about comic books, but for some reason, how did I get my hands on Mad Magazine? Maybe because I worked at a pharmacy part-time, and there were magazines there. But I thought it was so clever, Mad Magazine. Is that a comic?
It's comic adjacent.
Okay.
Certainly, yeah.
So that's the only thing comic adjacent that I really, you know, I was I knew about Archie. I saw some Archie, but it was the TV shows based on comic book characters that I was most exposed to. And of course, you know, Wonder Woman was so cool. Wonder Woman! It was Glinda Carter, and she was just so gorge. And that was a lot of fun. And what was the other TV shows based on?
Batman, obviously, from '66.
Oh, I never saw those reruns. No. But the movie was iconic, of course, with Christopher Reeve. That was like major.
Oh, yeah, Superman.
Yeah, when that came out, yeah, we loved that. When we were growing up, we loved that one.
But now that you're playing in that realm,
Now that I'm in the realm,
have you gone back and developed a bit of an
I
interest?
have. Of course, I love Hawk Girl because I know her. And what they wrote for her was just awesome on our show, especially. But as like just an iconic figure that I admire has always been Superman, because he's so good, because he loves America and he fights for truth, justice, and the American way. And which is about, to me, it was about freedom, the freedom that we have in our country, however imperfect it is. You can do anything and be anything. You have the opportunities here. That's why people risk their lives coming here. So America's pretty awesome. My parents are from Cuba originally, and you know they couldn't go back to their country if they wanted to or not because it was taken over by a communist dictator. And property was seized, and their freedoms were taken away, and you couldn't say what you think in public. I mean, it was craziness. You know, I couldn't wrap my head as an American person born in America when I would hear what goes on in some other countries. So I think growing up, you know, my parents really appreciated America, yet they're very Cuban in their culture. You know, you can have it all. We spoke Spanish, but they loved America, and they became American citizens too. So I think that growing up and, you know, with all those values and appreciation, Superman and Wonder Woman, but especially Superman was my favorite. And, you know, I love George Newbern, so I still love Superman.
George, that name sounds familiar. George Newbern. And we all love George Newbern, obviously, the voice of Superman on their Justice League.
Yeah.
I'm curious because you just mentioned, you know, the different ways you can say your daughter's name. You greeted me at the airport last night in almost a flawless French accent. How many languages do you speak? Now I'm kind of curious.
I speak a little bit of a few.
Okay.
I have a good ear, so, and sometimes I can't help it. I'm very sponge-like, you know. I'm sure this happens to you guys where you're talking to somebody, and if English is not their first language, there's this part of me that's trying to help them, so I start talking like them. And my husband's like, "You're doing it again. Stop it. They're going to be insulted. They're going to think you're making fun of them." I'm like, "I'm not. I'm not." Our second babysitter was from Armenia, and she's still my good friend. She'd come to the house, and when she was helping me clean my closet, she goes, "Maria, what is?" Because it was a mess. She goes, "What is?" And the girls would say, "Frida, we want spaghetti." I say, "Frida, we don't want spaghetti. No spaghetti, Frida Jean. We want borscht. She was Russian Armenian. And my husband's like, stop talking like her. I'm like, it's an effort to be understood and to understand. So yeah, so sometimes I'll just break into, like I've been watching these videos about Parisian style. How to have that Parisian effortless style. So the lady talks with the French accent, so I say, bonjour, comment allez-vous? Très bien. So I just start doing it. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And it comes in handy when you have to do all these voices and play all these characters, you know. Yeah, I just did some show where I had to be Italian, and I had to play like 7 or 8 Italian women, different ages, and gosh, it was so much fun. So yeah.
Great. Any other questions? We're coming into the end of our panel time.
Hello, my name is Brett, and I was wondering, who is your favorite character that you played?
That I played of all the characters?
Yes.
I think Hawkgirl's my favorite character that I played. Shira.
Thank you for the question. Thank you.
She's so layered and awesome.
Hello, my name's Joe.
Hi.
I know earlier we made you do the Hot Girl Cry.
Yeah.
I was wondering, because I'm a huge Wizards fan, has anyone ever made you do the Cut It Out?
It's not cut it out, it's knock it off.
Knock It Off, yes! It's been so long since I've seen that episode.
But it's the same sentiment, I get it. Yeah, they ask me all the time. You want me to do it to you right now?
Yes, please.
Knock it off! That's so satisfying to say.
I was just wondering what some of your upcoming projects might be.
Well, I'm voicing Dora the Explorer's grandmother in the new Dora. I don't know if you've seen it. It's on Paramount Plus and Nickelodeon. And again, they wrote a really wonderful character. She sings. She's adventurous. That's where Dora gets it from. Hiking the mountains in Cuba. She cooks. So she's got all those wonderful, you know, grandma qualities, but she's also an adventurer. So I love it. I'm enjoying that. And I'm also back on the new Wizards called Wizards Beyond Waverly Place as Teresa. And it's a lot of fun.
Thank you for the question. Yes.
I heard you do a fantastic Cher impression.
Oh yes, that's true. If you've not seen this, I'm gonna sit back a little bit.
I was born in the wagon on the traveling show. Mama had to dance.
I love it. I love it. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you for coming here to this convention.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. If you are here with a 3-day pass, she's going to join us for our Justice League panel. We're going to have Carl and Phil and Susan, who drew them all together. So if you're here for Sunday, make sure you stick around for that. Enjoy the show floor. Remember to head down to the Steel Shop. We got a lot of other people down there, along with our comic book writers and artists. Thank you very much for coming out, and let people know if they want to keep up with you online. Social media handles, websites, where are you sending them?
At Maria_CB. You don't have to learn my whole last name.
It's hard to spell. I've swapped the 2 B's for the single B on many occasions. Or R's.
Don't
R's.
confuse
R's,
them.
No, sorry.
At Maria_CB.
There you go. Maria Canals Barrera, thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for coming.